I was sold for 20 years that diets worked and the problem was me. And when I started to understand how to read research and started reading on the other side of the spectrum, and I realized that the statistics were there. 91% of people who lose weight on a diet regain it back within 2 years, and 95% of people regain it all back plus more in 5 years. I'm like, holy shit, that's me.
Hi, I'm Jenn Divine, and this is the SuccessFou podcast. Today, I am welcoming Stephanie Dodier, a non-diet nutritionist, educator, and feminist business leader known for her work challenging conventional beliefs about food, health, and coaching. She specializes in helping women break free from diet culture and is a mentor to anti-diet professionals worldwide. Her approach is rooted in intuitive eating, body neutrality, and cognitive behavioral coaching, aiming to transform clients' relationships with food and their bodies. Dodier's commitment to the non-diet approach is deeply personal. She began dieting at the age of 12 when she went to her first Weight Watchers meeting and an older woman told her she should just start chewing gum. And it led to a 25-year struggle with weight cycling and chronic dieting. After a successful corporate career as a VP of operations, her health deteriorated, prompting her to leave the corporate world and pursue nutrition and wellness. Thank you so much for having a chat with me, because I saw a post that you put on LinkedIn a while back and I thought, wow, and it really spoke to me. And I think I mentioned in my early email to you, if you're anyone born from the 60s to the 90s for my research, we were infected with this obsession. You know, we praised being thin. We idolized thinness. If you weren't thin, something was wrong. And then I started reading your story and your background. I don't know if it was on your website where you talked about being 12 years old and your mother or father must have brought you to the first Weight Watchers meeting. And one of the women there shamed you as you stood on the scale. Now, I've been to Weight Watchers meetings and I remember the fear of stepping on the scale for the first time. And I was, I think, in my 20s or something. And I've never been massively overweight, but I've been, 12, 14, which is the national average, I think, here and in America. But by my standards and the standards of all the peers around me, that was like a little pudgy. And that shame has carried through, and I know I'm not alone. It is the unspoken about thing. And I have, I'm a middle-aged mom and my friends are middle-aged moms of teenagers. And I've observed varying degrees of shame around being too big. Sometimes it's out of fear. Sometimes we say things like, oh, don't eat that, or eat vegetables first. And you don't want to give your children body image issues from the media, from your upbringing, your surroundings, on them to have body shame. And what I would love to get out of this interview is some data points that mothers and fathers and even the kids can get a little freedom or a little knowledge or empowerment on how do we, for body positivity. I'm hoping you'll have some really good messages of what parents should say and what they shouldn't say. But I've also seen where parents who say nothing, children feel it.
Yeah,
and
nothing
then
is not the answer.
they end up with it. Yeah, nothing is not the answer. And so I've always tried my messages to be around, just be healthy, make good choices. I'll love you regardless. So why don't we get started with, I've said a little bit about your background, and tell me why you do what you do. Like how did you get there? You created this whole business where you coach coaches. You have lots of followers. You have 1.3 million downloads on your own podcast. And I'll put all of this in the notes as well so people can go find you.
So first of all, thank you for having me, Jenn. Thank you for everybody who's listening. And I'm very happy to meet all of you. My entire line to get here is a personal journey. It's me. So at 12 years old, I was put on the scale and then Weight Watcher told that my body is too big. And that started a 25-year journey in dieting and trying to shrink my body for 25 years until I collapsed. I was in the corporate world, having a big career in the corporate world, and I was speaking to a group of people and I collapsed on stage from complete exhaustion, like classic burnout, but not only burnout from the stress of the work, but from the physical exhaustion of constantly being on a diet, going to the gym twice a day, eating only 900 calories a day. And I collapsed on stage, and that was a pivotal moment for me. And it happened at 39 years old. So, we talk about the second stage of life. It put everything in perspective for me because I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was dying, but it was panic attack from deep-seated anxiety. And so I went through about a year and a half of healing, of like finding out what's happening and understanding why it's happening. And then I decided to leave the corporate world behind and go on the journey of finding answer for my own life and my own health. And that sent me back to school, finished a degree in nutrition, did a degree in health science, and discovered that everything I had been sold, as most of you, I would say ladies, that thinner is better, thinner is more beautiful, was actually a lie, and that diets were, by research and data, known to not work. Yet I was sold for 20 years that diets worked and the problem was me. And when I started to understand how to read research and started reading on the other side of the spectrum, and I realized that the statistics were there. 91% of people who lose weight on a diet regain it back within 2 years, and 95% of people regain it all back plus more in 5 years. I'm like, holy shit, that's me. Why has nobody told me that for 25 years? But instead, the message I was getting is diet works. You're the problem.
Yeah.
And here I am today, having unpacked all of this, having liberated myself literally from dieting and diet culture, and I help other people do the same thing. And it's working so well, and it's such a positive, enthusiastic transformation that I now help other professional, help other client to do the same thing through a methodology called going beyond the food.
So how do you define success then in the because you call yourself a non-diet coach. So people come to you because they're overweight and they don't want to care that they're overweight?
No. People come to me. First of all, I don't engage in the word overweight. Can we start there?
Okay, what words should I use? Educate me.
Yes. So I'll explain to you and people why I don't use the word overweight. Because overweight, if we break down, it's two words, over a certain weight. So it has a pre-assumption that there is a right weight for you to be at, for me to be at.
Yes.
And therefore you're over that weight.
Yes, which is very much heavily dictated by the media, print and television, and
BMI.
The people we see around us.
Right? The body mass
index. And BMI, yes, right. Right, and BMI.
Okay, so it says you're over the weight you should be at. Well, I'm not going to get into a lot of it because we could speak for hours, but the BMI is now being recognized in the last couple of years as an actually harmful tool for medical practitioner to use because it's only the weight divided by the height, which doesn't account for bone structure, muscle density, genetic. It's two number. Actually, the BMI was created in the late 1700s by a statistician when they started building insurance policy. And it was a tool to determine which insurance policy for which person. It was never created by medical science.
Yeah, I knew at 15 BMI was BS because I'm very petite boned and I could pinch a few inches and I knew I was overweight for my frame and unhealthy. And in the BMI, I was way under my BMI.
So I'm 6 foot tall and I'm very athletic.
Wow.
So even at my lowest weight during my many diets, when I remember wearing a size 8 pants, I'm not going to say the number,
which is very skinny for 6 foot tall.
And I was
very skinny
on the BMI.
Wow.
So that's why I don't use overweight, right?
Got it. So we don't use overweight. So what words do you use? Like, why do people come to you?
Yeah. People come to me because they have a very similar story as me. So they've dieted. They know it doesn't work, but they feel really uncomfortable in their body and they want to feel comfortable. They want to feel better, but they don't know what else to do if it's not dieting. So they're at this place of like, I want to feel better, but I don't want to diet because I've been doing that and it doesn't work. And
So do you change the mind when you coach them,
100%,
or do you change the
you
body,
don't
or
change bodies.
both? So you just change the
Yes,
mind.
because here's another pre-assumption behind my work. We have this assumption because of the BMI, the diet industry, that we can control our body. That is a lie.
Well, we can to a certain degree. You
Tell
can
me
control
how.
your body to a certain degree. Well, you mean in terms of losing weight?
Okay. So you lose weight,
Working.
then what happens?
So, it's, well, I think a lot of people may subscribe to like calories in, calories out. If you consume
Yep.
less than you burn, then you will stay at the same weight or go down slightly over time.
Sure. That's the statistic from the beginning. Remember, it works until it doesn't. So meaning you will eat less and you will burn more. Let's imagine you do that. I did that. You lose the weight, but then are you able to maintain it?
What do you think about Ozempic? So I'm sure you must have heard of these Ozempic, Manjaro, like these kind of weight loss injectable drugs that I see working. You see it in Hollywood. I know friends who have been on it and lost whole bodies of people. And they also work out and do it all. Speak to Ozempic and Manjaro and like drugs that are getting a lot of press right now.
So before we, like, this is where context really important. Before we speak to the drug, what do you define as working? All of you listening have to have your own understanding of what working is. Is it just losing the weight that's working, or it's losing the weight and maintaining the weight loss? That's the first definition we need to agree upon in our own head. Let's talk about weight loss drug. Weight loss drug have been in the medical world for roughly 20 years. Most of those years, 15 plus years, have been selectively around diabetes control, not even healing, control of diabetes. So it was never a weight loss drug. It was strictly to diabetic patients. And if you're in a country with social medical system like Canada, we do not prescribe those drugs outside of diabetic diagnosis. It's only in a private market like USA that people will get it for weight loss. So in the research, they recognize that people who were on the weight loss drug were losing weight and diabetes was getting better. They were consuming or injecting or using the medication consistently to treat diabetes. What's happening now is that we're prescribing what we call off-label, meaning just for weight loss, even if the patient does not have diabetes, they are prescribed or they purchase those drugs to lose weight. But what people don't understand is they have to remain on the drug to maintain the weight loss. If they stop using the medication, they will regain the weight. And that's the difference between a diabetic patient who has to have the drugs every day for diabetes.
Forever.
They will maintain the weight loss, but the celebrity, for an example, that you see will post those dramatic before and after 6 months of use of the drug. What I want to see is 5 years from now when they stop using the drug.
Now, I'm interested in getting into the fixing the mind that you talk about, because this is fascinating. And I feel like there's a mass consciousness that says skinny is good. Anything that isn't skinny is bad because it's unhealthy or whatever. When I was a teenager, raised in the 80s, or I was a teenager in the 80s, I wasn't raised in the, the raising went much beyond.
I know, like me.
Just raised on magazines and idolizing, beauty was always thin. Supermodels were size 0. It wasn't until the late 90s that they started introducing more realistic bodies. And we started getting the statistics of what the true average size is in America and in the UK, which is a 12 or 14. And I know our sizes are different. I think our 14 is your 12 or something. Okay. Yes. Okay. So 16 is a 12 in America, 16 here. So, I do, I'm guilty of passing those early brainwashing messages on to my own children in some ways. And I'm not proud of that, but I have this idea of a certain size is unhealthy. And also the fear of judgment and how they're going to show up in the world, because we do tend to see body before we see the person.
100%.
And I would never want anyone I love to be overlooked by the fact, like not seen, their hearts and their kindness and their compassion and their intellect not seen because they're dismissed because, they're too big. And I'm not saying either of my children are too big. I'm just saying I know this exists. I've talked to other mom friends over the years. I've read a lot on the subject. I've seen a lot online, and there's a lot of mixed messages. And I'm sure there's other moms out there like me who feel shame. We don't want to pass on our shame about body to our children. So what sort of advice could you give about how do we talk about body image to our, kids go from primary school or grade school into junior high, and the body through that adolescent shift changes so much. You can go from a kid size to a woman size and jump up 3 sizes within a year. And it has nothing to do with your eating or your physical exercise. It's just adolescent growth, which alone can be very, very like, wow, everything's changing. And the world responds, both men and women respond to body.
So, to the parents who want to have this conversation with their children, the work in preparing for that conversation is not around, quote, how to have the conversation, but the work is how do you think personally about your own body into the world? Because communicating to your children will only be a repurposing of the thoughts about bodies that you have in your brain. You cannot fake a conversation. You have to believe what you say to your children. So for me, the work starts specifically at the mom level. And the reason why you asked me earlier why I don't work with men is because of what I'm going to explain to you right now. Body image in psychology has 4 different components. The way we see ourselves, so our reflection in the mirror, the way we think, the thoughts we have about bodies, the feelings we have about our body, and the behavior that we have about our body. So how we take care of our body, eat, exercise, and all the jazz, right? And the way we think about bodies is significantly different between men and women. We are socialized, so the concept of socialized differently.
100%. A man looks in the mirror 25 pounds heavier than he was last year, and he's like, yeah, I look all right. A woman sees all the flaws. This fact.
So I'm going to take what you just said. I'm going to go upstream. Okay.
Okay.
And say, why do a woman sees flaw where men don't care? Because a woman is socialized to be beautiful for her mate. In this case, in the 2000s, to be thin, blonde, makeup on, your current beauty standards that your daughter starts being exposed to at 3, 4, 5 years old.
Yes.
And those beauty standards, hold on to your pants, changed throughout the century. Right now, we are in an era where thinner is more beautiful. But if I dial back 100 years, I was the epitome of beauty. Fatness was the epitome of beauty. And it was, people were being sold cream. And I saw old advertisement of pills to gain fat. Like I was the beauty. And now it's the thinner model. So we are socialized to this differently than men. Men are socialized to their body to be powerful, to be protector, to go out there and earn. We don't hunt anymore, but we earn money. So for a man, their body is a tool. For a woman, their body is a sign of their worth, because their worth is their capacity to get a mate, to be protected.
Yes, I feel like it's the oldest exchange of feminine and masculine energy. One's for protection, one is for beauty.
Yes. The problem in today's
Mm.
world is we have pills and injections and diets and Weight Watchers that traumatize women in their pursuit of thinness. Now we have what we call a diet trauma. And that's the people who come
Mm.
to me who've been traumatized through their effort of achieving this thinness. And now we
Yeah.
have to heal that trauma at the mind, emotional, and behavior level.
So is your goal when you coach people to shift their thinking about big body
It's about
and just loving
go up straight.
the big body?
I work only for women because we start way up at the top to shift their belief system about why they have a body. So this is going to be a takeaway for your audience. If I ask you, audience, how do you answer this question? Why do you have a body? Stephanie version 10 years ago would have said, I have a body to be attractive to other people, be attractive to men in my case, look beautiful for the job, right?
I would just say it's a vehicle, right? Our body is a vehicle to get through life.
Well, it depends. If you think that, so this is what I think today. Today, I think my body is the vehicle for me to experience life. It's no longer a tool to please. It's a tool for me to experience the beauty of life, the visual, the sound, the food, the relationship, like the touches, sexuality. Like it's a tool for me to experience life. But it's not linked to the size of it. The old Stephanie, she had a body and she had to be thin because she had to be beautiful to be approved by others. You see the difference? So we start at that system.
How do you define yourself? Like, how do you define yourself?
So I define myself as a compassionate being. Like if you ask me at the highest level, like I'm here to be compassionate with myself and the world. If you ask how do I define my body is a tool to experience life. And I have a relationship with my body of support. I'm not there to control it in its expression. I'm there to support it.
Yes, you were saying in one of the recordings I saw online, you were sharing an experience of being on the treadmill. I think you were in Spain, and a woman came up to you and said, "Oh, you're doing so well," and she kind of touched your stomach and was trying. I think her intention was to compliment you because you were probably bigger than her. I'm assuming by how you told the story, and she thought, "Oh, good on you. You're exercising and keep going."
Not you're exercising. The reason why she touched my belly is because she thought, "Oh my God, you're losing weight. Good for you." That was like a fat woman at the gym is there to lose weight. And in her beautiful mind, she thought the best way to motivate this fat person is to tell her she's losing weight. Like in her mind, it was all good. She didn't do that to be mean.
Yeah, she had good intentions.
In a diet culture.
So, yes. And so you must, because I know if I go out without any makeup on, my hair is never combed, but even now I can just never have comb looking hair. It's just too fine and it just goes everywhere. Anyway, but the world lands, especially if you're a sensitive person, you feel how you show up to the world, whether you look good or don't look good for your own looking good continuum. Do you know what I mean? And so what do I'm assuming people who are overweight also feel that, like other people, they land on other people and sometimes they don't feel like they look good. They feel like they look less, or they're not seen.
Or they're too much
in coaching people. Or they're too much seen, right? But I think, I want to feel good first and foremost. And I also, because I am a sensitive person, I don't have the words for it, but when you're not looking good. And I always have thought this is a very easy way to manipulate people to be nice to you. Absolute strangers. Strangers are nicer to people who look good. And sometimes looking good might be, just being fit, or even looking good in your clothes. You don't have to be skinny, right? Looking good, looking after your hair, your skin, etc. How do you coach for that, or what do you say to that? Because I'm thinking that is the component of being and self-expression of our bodies that would be the turning point for me. Like if I were to go to a non-diet coach, yes, I'd want to be fully accepting of my body at any shape, But I also, because I'm sensitive, would want to be skinnier. Not that I am now, but I have been overweight. I now work out and I work so much that I don't have time to run to the fridge as often. But yeah.
This is a great question for me to explain one of the core principle behind what I do, which is the definition of confidence. Because that's what you're
Competence.
confidence.
Oh, confidence.
Because that's
Yeah.
what you were expressing,
Okay.
right? Going out into the world.
Well, I feel like I'm a very confident person, but I don't like to go out looking too ragged because I'm sensitive to other people's thoughts, feelings, and impressions, and I don't even have to speak. Have you ever heard of HSPs, highly sensitive people? I'm definitely an HSP, and I feel other people's thoughts, feelings, impressions. And I feel like the better I look, the less they pay attention to how I'm looking, all the better.
So that means, in other words, if you allow me to coach you, what you just said to me is other people's thoughts and feeling have power over me.
They do affect me. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely believe that. I think there's an energy with people's thoughts and you can feel that energy. I mean, you can get away from it, but
to a degree,
it's kind of gunky.
Your control, I mean, your action are dictated by what other people think and feel about you.
No, my actions, I mean, usually if something's uncomfortable, I'll just remove myself. And then I leave and I get enough distance and I can have an energetic shower per se, whether I meditate or run or whatever I do. But I do feel that. And I feel like looking good, being thinner versus fatter for my continuum of a body, I'm happier. I feel like the better you look, the happier you are. And to me, looking good is taking care of hair and skin and, having a little makeup on. And sometimes if I need it, and then, just not having too much Dunlap.
So looking good in what you just said is about controlling how you look.
Being in control of how you present.
And
yeah,
the definition of am I in control or not of how I look is determined by how other people react to you.
Well, no, I'd be in control of it either way, and they'd be my choices of how I show up. But I'm not in control of how other people, unless I change it's kind of like showing a film, right? If you're showing a film, you're in control of your film, but you can't control how someone critiques that film.
But it matters to you how they critique the film.
Only because I feel it. And getting what you want, getting help in a shop to find something. You have some young staff member. The better you look, I'm telling you, it's a fact. You get the help you need.
You just demanded
whether it's going to the car mechanic, the better you look, the more help you get.
Because you're a woman socialized in the patriarchal society that says more beautiful women are better. So for sure, you will have the men gaze, the men wanting to, I don't want to say like want to be with you, but want to please you.
No, they want to provide,
because
right? They want to provide
the patriarchal society's standards and will, for sure. I call that playing the game. If you understand the game of being a woman in a patriarchal society and you're like, I love playing the game and I want to play the game, then go for it.
No, I think it's not loving playing the game. It's just understanding that's the game. That's the Monopoly board. And if you stumble across it, just knowing how to move the pieces is critical in the success in getting through that Monopoly game.
Oh, privilege. Yeah. So we know about white privilege recently. Can we say that?
Yes. Yes. But there's also sorry, go ahead.
Thin privilege and beauty privilege. So if you are genetically predisposed to look young, to have the attributes that are defined as beautiful, then you have more privilege in the world.
Yeah, but I think everyone has access to having privilege for looking good, regardless of skin color or sex or weight. Yeah, I think, look at Oprah Winfrey. At her biggest, she presented very well. She still looked good. She had nice clothes. They fit her body well.
So it's an industry to look like that. It's an industry where you need funds. You need the hair, you need the makeup. Like my beauty routine when I was in the corporate world was $1,500 a month between the nails, the hair color, the stylist, the clothes, the handbag, right?
Yeah.
I had
Whole
financial
package.
privilege to do that.
Yes.
But if I just woke up in the morning and did nothing with myself, most women don't meet those beauty standards. Most women won't get out of the house without makeup. And it comes back to this
Mm.
privilege, thin beauty, white privilege, all the privilege in the world, but also your capacity to control that body, assuming, and this is another assumption we haven't talked about, that all bodies are meant to look the same. So go there with me for just a little bit. Is it true that all bodies are supposed to be thin?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think all bodies are supposed to be the same.
Height, we all agree, society, that it's okay to be different heights. We agree that we're supposed to have different eye color. We agree that we are supposed to have different skin color. We now
Mm.
agree recently that some people are born with disability. We agree with that. The only bodily presentation we yet don't agree on could be different is the size, because we are in a weight stigmatic, fat phobic society. We
Yes.
dislike, find fatness highly disturbing and ugly. So that's a part of our beauty standard. So therefore, everybody must be thin. But there's people like me, even on a diet, can never be thin because I'm not supposed to be thin. That's just the way genetically I am made. So if we accept that, why do I then have to be on a diet for the rest of my life just to match the beauty standards?
On all of your posts,
Yeah.
you look fantastic. You dress for your body. I loved you wearing a crop top with a blazer and a pair of trousers. I envy that body acceptance and confidence.
That's
I think
why
it's
women work with me.
fabulous.
They want that.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yes,
if that
exactly.
chick fat can have that, I want it.
Yes, I get that completely. So how do we give that to everybody else? Like, how do you get there? You do a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy coaching.
Yeah, that's where we started the belief level. So so I have like classes on the history of diet culture, how you were thought you were beautiful. We start at the very top. And then we rebuild our beliefs around what it is to be a woman in society, what it is to be beautiful, what it is to be healthy, right? Because many people conflate health and weight. But actually, you could be healthy at every size. You can have health promoting behavior at every size. What if you did all of that and didn't have to restrict food to shrink your body? Would you have a happy life? Most people do.
Yeah. I want to ask some questions. When a woman says she wants to lose weight, what is she really saying?
She wants to feel better in her body. That's simple as that. People don't want to like be on a diet. They hate being on a diet. They want to feel better. They want to have the feeling at the end of a diet.
I want to talk about body positivity and how we can help our girls. And I say our girls, and I know boys have issues too, but I see a bigger problem with girls and women in society. And the messages women get that men don't get. So let's just keep this one for the girls for a second. What can we say to our daughters when they are getting bigger than their friends, or when they are snacking too much and not having a full meal first, without giving them body consciousness issues? I don't want an eating disorder in either direction.
So the conversation to a daughter, like from a mother, for me, start is explaining to our daughter, why do we have a body? Like really starting at 10, 12 years old. Here's the message that society is telling you about your body, but let's have a conversation about how we're going to think about our body as girls. Do we have a body to please men? And you're going to hear this message, but this is like, we have a body to experience life. The reprogramming of our daughter's brain starts in the preteen.
Why do we have a body?
Simple as, why do you have a body? Is it to please boys? Is it to be beautiful? Is it to post on Instagram or TikTok these days? Is that the purpose of your body? Start the
Yeah. Okay.
conversation.
Great question.
And instead of
Good.
thinking body positivity, I want you to think body neutrality.
And what does that mean? What is body neutrality?
Body neutrality is about deplatforming your body from being a tool to be beautiful, but a tool to experience life. It's about being neutral to the various aspects of your body, understanding that society will think you have, example, big boobs, but you understand that the size of your boobs doesn't mean anything about who you are as an individual. As an individual, you are born innately worthy. You just happen to have different aspects of your body, including your skin color, the way your hair looks, your height. Like we put everything into a much bigger platform than just the size of your boobs and the size of your butt.
Yeah. So what would you say, and these are great sound bites of advice. And if you have a child who does have big whatever, and men comment on it, or
Absolutely.
boys comment on it, or someone says, hey, nice bleep,
Yeah.
how do you coach them to navigate that in their social circles, among their peer group?
So again, the conversation starts much earlier. As a parent, you need to set an environment where comments on body is unacceptable. Just like it's unacceptable to talk about the disability of somebody that's in the wheelchair. We don't say like comment, oh, you're so stupid, you're in a wheelchair. We don't do that anymore. So we set an environment in the family where we don't comment on body, not because we're avoiding it, but because it's not how we think of a body. Then we go out into the world and we protect our children as much as we can. And aunts and uncles and family, we set an environment again, and then we teach them how to react to people we can control, like schools and teachers and friends. How do we deal with a comment about our body? Teach children.
Yes, having boundaries. No, definitely. But you make a really good point. It's absolutely unacceptable to comment on someone's disability. But in our culture, we comment on body. We even compliment on body.
And that's as
But we
bad
don't.
as
Yes.
shaming people. Like complimenting says to our children, your body is important. And when you meet the standard, I'm going to compliment you.
So you're saying it's not even good. And me and my friends do this. I'm like, oh, you look great. Oh, your hair looks nice. Gosh, you're skinny. You've lost weight. You look fabulous. You look amazing. You look better than I've ever seen. We do this across the board. I've lived in 2 countries and 15 cities. This is what girls do. And we also feel like we're building each other up by doing it.
Are we?
And you're saying that's not, yeah.
Right, I'm asking you.
And you're saying that's not good.
Are we building each other up?
I mean, I think it's nice. Everyone likes to be told when they're making an effort on working out and looking good. If someone says, oh, you look really good. Oh, your skin, your hair, something's brighter. Your eyes are brighter. Your skin. We like that. Those are nice compliments, right? No?
No, but I'm not saying it's not nice compliment. I'm saying, are we really building each other up as women? When we reinforce
we're acknowledging
the standard of patriarchy, like we can go now we can go into feminist conversation. Are we really re-empowering ourselves by being compliant to a society that puts down women and only platform them for their beauty? Are we really building each other up?
Well, I would do the same thing with male friends. Oh, you look really good.
But he doesn't get
right.
I'm
I would say
we're going to talk in binary term here, which we acknowledge as other people, but a man could care less.
No, I think they like to look good and feel good too. Doesn't everyone like a compliment if they're making an effort?
Like my colleague would tell you what men's like is when you tell them they have power, money power, car power. Like that's what men's like.
Nice car, nice things.
Like, great, you have 1,000.
Nice watch.
Yeah, that they like. But telling them, oh my
really?
God, you lost 10 pounds. And we're
That
talking in majority.
be more true.
There's a subset,
Yeah.
but
gross generalizations have a place sometimes.
What I'm challenging is more, is it really empowering women, or it's actually being compliant in putting women in their place in a patriarchal society? To me, that's what it is. When women reinforce beauty standard, what they're reinforcing is women being subdued to men's standard for women's body.
So you think when women compliment other women, we are subscribing to a patriarchal society's expectations of how we should
Well,
be?
that's where it comes from. Like, it's not maybe, maybe not. That's exactly what it is. I don't want you to think like I'm blaming you. It's just unconsciously being done.
So when I said I saw you in a crop top and a blazer and trousers, and usually you don't see girls wearing crop tops of a certain age, even, let alone size. And I thought, wow, I love that confidence. And I actually thought you looked good. How do you take that? Do you think it's almost insulting because it's a body comment?
No, because I'm a coach. Like, I'm professionally trained to see through people's thoughts. It just tells me a lot about you. So for me, it's like, okay, that's how she thinks, right? And that's totally neutral to me. What I like is when you say, I love the confidence you're showing other women. To me, that's a compliment because that's liberation. I'm helping women liberate themselves. That is a compliment to me because I'm helping women say no to the standard that limits them.
Good. Well, that was my intent. And that's what I felt from seeing that, was the confidence is what I really admired.
Totally.
Definitely. But I want to know, so you were 12 and there are a lot of young girls who at that age, that's when they're getting sidestruck by the expectations of others on their body. Because I really loved your story about being 12. And I think it is in those early adolescent years that we start having body awareness. Like, I remember I had no body awareness until someone told me something about my body. And then I had a complex.
Yes.
Someone says your nose is this, or your teeth are that, or, whatever. And then suddenly you realize that you have teeth and a nose. Even that can be really damaging to a kid, because then suddenly they're self-conscious. If you could go back to your 12-year-old self, or pick, an adult to come into the room when you're standing on that scale at Weight Watchers and say something, what would you say to her? Or what would you say to your 12-year-old self now, knowing everything you know and doing all the work that you've done on yourself?
I would say, I know how you're feeling right now and how painful it is, but it's not your fault. Your body is not the problem. You are not a problem. The room is the problem. Come with me and we're going to see something different.
No, it's nice. I mean, I have a large friendship group.
Yep.
And I can hear their voices. And they'd say things like, the mother's feeding them too much. They're eating all the wrong things. They don't know when to stop. That poor child, it's child abuse, right? You hear all sorts of things, not physical child abuse, but it is physical child abuse is what they might say to letting a child get too overweight and then being called the fat kid in their class or whatever, not getting played with. What would you say to them to shift their thinking of it?
When I hear this, because I hear it all the time, for me, I see suffering. So when I see a mom say those things about people, I see suffering behind the scene. Because if their expectation of other mothers and other children is to restrict and to do this, that means they're living their life like this.
Yes, that's right. And they are.
Right?
Yes.
So for me, I don't look at the words because words are just a stream of words put together. The sentence they say means really nothing to me. What I see is what's going on behind the skin, in the brain, in the feeling. And I would want to just hug them. I want to say, I know you're suffering. And because you're suffering, you're expecting other people to suffer like you. I hear you. Let's have a conversation. And it's a long conversation. It's not like 15 minutes at a coffee shop. It's like, can we have a one-to-one and let's unpack the suffering you are experiencing yourself and why you want to impose that to other people. And I know because I used to do that. When I was dieting and I was in the phase that diet worked, that I was thinner, I used to look at everyone around me and think they're just lazy. I am doing it right now. I'm restricting food. I'm only eating 1,200 calories a day. I'm at the gym twice a day. You can do it too. But when it stopped working, when I got too tired, couldn't go to the gym, started binging, and I started gaining weight, then I stopped looking at other people and judging them because I was in the part that wasn't working. So people that put those comments to other people now, today, I know the suffering they're going through, not just from a theory perspective and psychology and nutrition, like all the principle I've learned, but also from a lived experience. There's a lot of suffering behind those words.
Yeah. So, what does success look like to the people you coach and to the coaches you coach to coach others? What is success as a non-dietary coach?
Confidence. Confidence in yourself, in your independent of what other people think of you. Confidence, when we strip the weight around confidence and the beauty, that's really what we call safety of compliance. Most women think when they're compliant to the standard, they feel safe from judgment. They feel safe from people pushing them out of their circle, judging them, calling them name. We reprogram what confidence is away from the safety of compliance, and we redefine compliance to be how we meet ourselves no matter what happened, right? The safety we have with ourselves. And then when we think of women, that's when women explode. Women that do this work will then go on to do the things they've always been wanted to do: start a business, go back to school, leave the shitty partner, fall in love again, start dating, adopting kids. Like the thing that they thought, I can't do this because, oh, I have to lose certain weight to do. One of my recent clients started riding horses. She'd been dreaming to ride horses, but she was told when she was too fat to ride a horse. So she started riding horses, traveling alone. Do you know how many women want to travel? They have the money, but they say they can't because whatever they are, they look different, and they build the confidence to go and travel alone. And then professional, we do more life coaching. When we are at that stage of coaching beyond the food, when we coach beliefs, confidence, we're really helping people create a new life. And that's where this work starts, at challenging people's belief.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I wish myself I could shift my automatic pilot system. But this was a great first step. And I think
Yes.
awareness is the first thing. And when I do talk to other moms, they know and realize they don't want to give their daughters these crazy ideas. We just want them to be. And the good news is when I look at my daughter and all of her friends, all of them, they're healthy.
Yeah.
They have normal bodies. And I think that's a good step in the right direction.
Do what we call introduction conversation, where we challenge people. And usually people 3 months down the road, they start coming to me. They're like, I heard you talk on this podcast, and like you really challenge me to think differently, and I'm ready to take the step. Now they're ready. Like, but it's got to simmer in their heads for a bit.
I think you should have like a coaching arm where you just coach moms.
I have many of coaches that I train to do that. I'm not a mom, I have to say. Like, I have no kids. So I'm not a great mom coach, but I can refer you to absolutely outstanding one.
So as a coach, do you do weekly sessions with the people you coach? And what's the average amount of time to get them to this success
6
goal?
to 12 months. Like this is serious work. Like we got to go in and start from the beginning. So typically it's 6 to 12 months. 6 months, we can get to a good part of it, and then they could do it on their own. But most people like to work with us 1 year. And it is weekly session, and then it moves on to bi-weekly sessions. So people can go out there, practice, come back to their coach, rebrush some certain things, and go back into the world for 2 weeks. So
yeah. So, I've thought sometimes, just from knowing people in my life, that some people who are very big for their body have experienced childhood trauma, abuse of various kinds. And eating is an emotional
protection.
fix.
It's a protection.
Yes. Protection. Yes. Do you ever have women who come to you, get coached, and they actually, when you start doing this heavy work, deep work, top down, you realize that there is some trauma that needs to be accepted and released, and then they do lose weight?
Well, yeah, I'll answer it step by step. Yes. So there's two kind of trauma. There's a trauma that often, like a sexual trauma, that will lead to eating. And then there's another trauma, the trauma of dieting. So now we have two kinds of trauma. So the healing of the trauma, not the releasing, we have to heal the trauma, is done in therapy. So that's a licensed therapist who will do this work. So sexual trauma is unpacked with a licensed therapist, for an example. We work with the diet trauma, and then we reprogram eating behavior, body acceptance, health promoting behavior. And then we let the body do what the wisdom of the body knows to do. Right? So I eat when I'm hungry, like I eat what we call intuitively. It's a process that we have called intuitive eating.
Yes.
And I've been at the same size pants for 7 years. Do you see?
And you just eat when you're hungry.
I eat when I'm hungry,
and you don't
full,
overeat.
I eat satisfying food. Like there's three core principles of what we call intuitive eating. And I'm a stable weight.
Well, I love your messages. I loved what I saw on LinkedIn. I'm happy to see you've done so many podcasts, and I appreciate you coming on this podcast. I've loved my chat with you. It's been really
amazing. Your question are beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. And I wish you all the best of luck. And I will put all the details in the notes of how people can get in touch with you, watch more of your stuff. I mean, they can also just Google your name because you're all over the internet. But
Beyond the Food.
Yes, come to your podcast Beyond the Food. Exactly. Thank you so much, Stephanie Dodier, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jenn.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you, Stephanie.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of the SuccessFou podcast. Every story I share is a reminder that success isn't handed out. It's built by people who are brave enough to dream and bold enough to follow that dream. People who keep going, who learn and keep learning, and who lead with the heart. If something in this episode sparks something in you, pass it on to someone you care about. I'm Jennifer Devine, and I'll be back next week with more real stories and real tools and templates of success, real conversations to help you build the life you're here to live. Thanks for joining me.